I refused to let my husband's brother, who pissed on my things and blamed my cat for the crime, come live with us. I'm 29, my husband is Ted. We've been together for 10 years. We met in college and have been together ever since. I graduated before him and took a semester off to travel while he finished his studies because we wanted to move to another state. In the end, he had to retake a few subjects, so when I got back, we still couldn't leave and I had no place of my own. I moved in with him and his roommate, who also happened to be his brother Ash. He's 32, while Ted finished school. Before moving in with him, I made sure Ted had talked to Ash about me bringing my cat. They already had an old dog, but Ash said it would be fine. About 3 weeks after I moved in, I started noticing a strong smell of urine in our bedroom, and we couldn't figure out where it was coming from. My cat is litter trained, so I knew it wasn't him. The dog couldn't get into our room either because it was on the second floor and the dog had joint problems. I started finding clothes on the floor that smelled like urine. I asked Ted about it. He said he had no idea. After 3 months of this hell, with my clothes being pissed on twice a week, I asked Ash if he was bringing the dog upstairs. He said no. By that point, I was at my wit's end. I stopped leaving my things lying around, but I still found urine in my shoes, on decorative pillows, and the like. After I broke down crying, Ted suggested maybe my cat was marking his territory. That's what they do. According to him, it made sense since the urine was only on my things and it was a new place. But damn, anyone who has a cat knows cat urine smells different from human urine. I was absolutely sure it wasn't my cat, so I set up a camera in our room. I was paying rent. The guy knew about the camera, so I decided it was the best way to find out the truth. And what do you know? Ash would come into our room and piss on my things. When I saw the recording, I packed my things and my cat and went to live with a friend until Ted finished his studies. Then we moved out together. When the truth came out, I refused to talk to Ash because he disgusted me, and Ted handled that. Since then, I've barely spoken to Ash. He was the best man at our wedding, but we try to keep our distance at family gatherings. During the pandemic, Ash lost his job and his apartment, and now he's honestly in deep shit financially. He asked if he could move in with us, and I sincerely don't want that because he pissed on my things. He was 25 at the time, a grown-ass man. Now his whole family is calling and texting me, saying I'm a heartless bitch for leaving him homeless in the middle of a pandemic, but they didn't have him pissing on their things. He pissed. Am I wrong? Maybe I'm holding a grudge for no reason because he pissed on my things, and now he's losing his home, and his cat deserves a roof. But they made it clear to me that I can't just take his cat and kick him out. I know I'm right, but now even Ted said he can't do that to his brother, and the job market in our city is better for his profession. Edited. Oh, thank you to everyone who took the time to read about my current dilemma. A few questions that came up a couple of times. Is he seeing a therapist? The last I heard, yes. After the pissing on my things incident, his mom made him go. That's how we found out why he did it. Ash and Ted were, and still are, best friends, and he saw my appearance in Ted's life as a threat to him. So he wanted to drive us apart. Obviously, it didn't work and only led to Ted not talking to him at all for a while. The therapist suggested Ash make amends with his brother. According to my mother-in-law, she's the one who reconciled them, and to apologize for his actions. They restored their relationship on the condition that I wouldn't have to deal with him and he would never set foot in our house. Why was he at the wedding? When we got married, the celebration was more for the parents. A courthouse wedding would have been enough for us, but my parents wanted a big wedding since I was the first of my sisters to get married. All my sisters and all of Ted's brothers were bridesmaids and groomsmen, and we couldn't exclude Ash since Ted and Ash are best friends. As long as I didn't have to take pictures with him and he didn't give a speech, I didn't care. Why can't someone else in the family take him in? We live on the East Coast, and the rest of the family is on the West Coast. After numerous comments, I'm starting to doubt this point, but I'll say what I know. Ted's profession is much more in demand on the East Coast than on the West Coast, so moving would increase his chances of finding a job at his field. I'm currently trying to convince all his brothers, there are 8 more, to chip in a little each so he could stay there. Why does everyone think I'm the asshole? My husband's family is very much forgive and forget. They've forgiven things that I find outrageous. Car theft, forging a diploma, embezzling money, and so on. So they really think this was a one-time thing. He's learned his lesson, and I just need to forget. Did he apologize? He apologized to Ted, but not to me, which is kind of hurtful. I thought about accepting his apology. But you're right. That would be a way for him to get back into my house and potentially drive me crazy. Sorry, I'm not making fun. Just couldn't resist a joke. Did he pay for the ruined things? Well, since I didn't know where the urine was coming from, I just washed the pissed-on clothes. After the video, I threw out everything that was pissed on and had no sentimental value. But I still have 2 pairs of shoes that were showered with his golden rain. He didn't pay for what was thrown out, and honestly, it didn't even occur to me to ask him for money. What is my husband's stance? Ted is the best person in the universe, and he honestly puts up with enough of my quirks that I probably would have even let his brother live with us if it made Ted happy. As soon as it all happened, he was in shock and completely cut off contact with him. And after his mom said the therapist thought he needed to make amends, they reconciled. Ted has never once pressured me to interact with Ash or to have him in our home. When we got married, he said it was absolutely fine if I didn't want Ash to be a groomsman. But I love Ted so much that I'm willing to tolerate Ash when necessary, like at Christmas or big family events. Can you see the video? Sorry to disappoint, but no. No matter how angry I am at this person, I'm still for privacy. When it happened, I only sent the video to Ted so he would believe me because, honestly, I wouldn't have believed it myself if he said one of my sisters was pissing on his stuff. To my knowledge, he only showed the recording to his parents to prove we weren't making it up and to 2 older brothers. Well, because I don't know, guys are curious. Edited a second time. So, shit hit the fan quietly, and I've had just a terrible day. Some of my husband's other brothers saw my post and all your comments, and it turned out the family didn't have the full picture. And apparently, neither did I. I want to say a huge fuck you to those writing that I deserved it, that I wanted it, or that it serves me right. May someone piss on your toothbrush. Thank you for the concern and kind words. Thank you for the sobering comments. Thank you for opening my eyes to my mistakes. Things are shitty right now, but I hope in a couple of days I can give you more answers. Update 1. Each part of this text was written at different times over the last few days. So, I showed Ted the post as you advised, and after reading the comments, Ted realized he had acted wrongly towards me, and that even if I was willing to tolerate it, his behavior and the behavior of his entire family were unacceptable. He apologized 1,000 times for not demanding more from himself, from the family, and from his brother when it all happened, and said Ash moving in with us was absolutely out of the question. He also asked around in his professional network about possible job openings for Ash. One such contact turned out to be an employee at the same company where Ash worked. He told Ted that Ash wasn't fired. He quit himself, but could return to work. Ted drove to Ash's to talk about it. We live a couple of hours away. I was at work. I work 2 jobs, nights from 4 p.m. to midnight and a part-time job during the day. Not because my husband can't provide, but because I want it myself, and it brings me joy. And there he found something that set off a chain of events and revelations that, honestly, make me more sad than angry. Yeah, I know I look spineless again and should be furious, but I'm just tired and want to sleep. But I received enough kind and nasty messages that I feel obligated to give you the resolution. I'll probably be criticized for posting all this, but I don't care right now. This is the shortened, though still long, version of everything that happened since my first post. First, let me introduce you to Ted's brothers. Brother 1, a doctor, military background, wife, 3 kids. Brother 2, a surgeon, wife, 2 dogs, and a bearded dragon. Brother 3, an engineer, fiancé, and a dog. Brother 4, a teacher and researcher, wife, 1 child. Brother 5, works in IT, don't know the details. Married. Brother 6, a doctor, single, ready to mingle. Brother 7, a chef or businessman, wife, 1 child. Brother 8, sells cars, wife, 3 kids, fish. Brother 9, Ted, wife, and a cat. Brother 10, Ash. If I write wife number X, that refers to the brother's number, not that they have multiple wives. I discussed with Ted everything you pointed out. He apologized. We cried together, promised to do better and work on ourselves. As is now clear to everyone, his family is a bundle of issues, and the habit of not rocking the boat is ingrained in him. We both decided to see therapists separately, and if both specialists recommend couples therapy, we'll definitely go. In short, Ted called his professional contacts and found out Ash hadn't been fired at all. He got angry about all this mess and went to him to sort it out. He went to his house. Ash wasn't there, but there was a key for emergencies. So he went in anyway and started waiting. At some point, he needed to use the guest toilet, but it was locked. So Ted went to Ash's room to use his bathroom and found a situation there. That's what he called it when he told me. Ted called me, told me to stay home, and that he'd be back later because he'd have to involve the family, and he didn't want to burden me with even more shit. My heart sank, but I just said, come back soon and be careful. About 2 hours later, wife number 8 called me in tears and asked, "Are you okay?" I said I was. Ted had told her something very vague about a situation, and I hadn't heard anything since. She asked, "Do you want to know?" I agreed. She started apologizing and said they didn't have the full picture. Brother number 5 read my post and called brother number 7 to complain that I was airing dirty laundry. But apparently, it's not so common for your brother-in-law to piss on your things, so he immediately realized it was about our family. Brother number 7 read the post and said some things in my version sounded off. He contacted number 2, who contacted their mom, and by then, everyone had read it. I had missed calls from brother 6 and 2, but I didn't answer because I was working. In short, as many of you suspected, the story about Ash's therapist was fishy. It turned out the therapist he was seeing was a friend of his. He has no qualifications. The dude was just pretending to be a therapist so Ash's mom would get off his back. He had been pretending to go to therapy for 3 years. My mother-in-law knew all about it and covered it up, justifying it by saying she'd forgiven the brothers for worse. All this came out because brother number 2 asked her why Ash hadn't apologized to me. They were sure he had already apologized and I'd forgiven him, given my reputation as a doormat, and also because he was the best man. That's why they were so actively pushing for him to move in with us. They also didn't know the pissing incident went on for months. Everyone thought it was a few times, not that long. Back to wife number 8. She said brothers 3, 4, and 8 were already on their way because Ted had asked for their help, which terrified me. She advised me to talk to wife number 1 because she herself needed support right now. I hung up. Then Ted calls me and repeats everything, says he's sorry and that the brothers will sort it out. Already exhausted, I tell him to stop and spill everything. I just talked to wife number 8, and I can't sit in the dark anymore. And he says, Ash has mental problems. He utterly hates me. In his bathroom, there are photos of me covered in both urine and semen. And apparently, there were also photos of brother number 1's 14-year-old daughter. Honestly, I don't even understand what she did to him. Ted, horrified and furious, goes into Ash's bedroom and finds photo albums in his nightstand that were supposed to be with the parents. You can guess whose photos were cut out and scratched up. All the comments about psychopathic behavior turn out to be much closer to the truth than I'd have liked. Ted dropped the album in disgust when he saw our wedding photo yellowed with urine. He goes to pick it up, and under the bed is Ash's cat, scared and emaciated. When he coaxed her out, she was covered in dried urine and semen. At that moment, brother number 6 calls Ted. Ted tells him what he found, that Ash isn't home, and that the cat needs to go to the vet urgently. Brother number 6 tells him to stay there until they figure out where Ash is. The brothers start calling each other. Brother number 1 is furious, threatening to kill Ash because of his daughter, which is why he didn't go with the others. Now all the brothers know, and emotions range from rage to anxiety. But no one knows where Ash is. Ted calls his mom to confront her for covering for Ash and forcing them to reconcile. She broke down crying and said she knew brothers 1 through 8 tormented Ash as a child, and she did nothing and failed as a mother. So now she was trying to protect him to somehow atone for it. I remember when we got married, my mother-in-law literally wouldn't leave Ash's side. I thought it was just concern. Later, Ted said he also remembers her asking if Ash should be the best man, which seemed strange to us at the time because she always insisted Ted be there for his brother. In their conversation, she admitted the more Ted was present in Ash's life, the more stable he was. She said she didn't tell him because she didn't want to put that pressure on Ted, and that when she realized he was lying about therapy, he already seemed normal and like he'd outgrown his problems. After he hung up, Ted called me, apologized, and told me everything. I called in sick from my second job because I definitely couldn't work in that state. I have a lot of thoughts, but I promise to keep you posted. I called Ted and said I was coming to him because someone had to take care of the cat. He said he didn't want me to see all that, but honestly, I was just worried about the cat. And at that moment, I was so numb that I wanted to be useful somehow. About an hour into the drive, I got a notification from our smart doorbell app. A delivery of sunflowers, Ted's favorite flowers. He's very secure in his masculinity, so don't make a thing out of it. I asked the delivery guy to read the card. You can talk to the person at the door through the intercom. The flowers were from Ash, and the card said something like, "She set me up by airing our problems. Whatever comes of this is her fault." And I just broke down. I had to pull over on the shoulder and cry. I called a neighbor, asked them to take the flowers, throw them out, and take a photo for Ted, then turned around and drove to my sister's because I had no idea what to do now. I'm in complete despair. All this is so fucked up. I had a huge family before all this. I loved these people and thought they considered me part of the family too. But even in my naive worldview, I can't justify what's happening now. I don't want to lose my husband. I'm worried about the cat. I'm afraid Ash will hurt himself or my husband. I called wife number 1, and she's scared shitless for her daughter. I don't want her to live in fear, but I don't have the strength to support her myself. I'm also scared. I logically know this isn't my fault, but I'm the central point in all this madness, and I just don't know what to do. I'm okay. Well, as okay as a person can be in such a situation. I'm at my parents'. Ted came with me, brought my cat. Life with a cat on your lap is slightly less shitty. Where to start? You probably have 1,000 questions, and I don't know how to answer them. Maybe I won't even post this and leave you guessing. I'll just say that both the situation itself and some of the messages I received have robbed me of some of my faith in humanity. But I guess that's what makes us human. Do you want to know the worst part of all this? I actually have PTSD, and I'm not saying that as a joke anymore. Every time I hear the sound of urine hitting the water, panic rises in my chest, and the world becomes noisy. Even going to the bathroom is an ordeal for me now. I've already had my first session with a therapist. Luckily and unluckily, we live in a world where you can just pay and feel better. Thanks, Dad, for paying for the emergency therapist. That was an update on how I'm holding up, since many asked. Now on to the substance you're all here for. What happened to Ash? After the flower delivery, I couldn't handle it anymore and went to my sister's. Ted came to me immediately. Brother number 6 is now coordinating everything. Of all my brothers-in-law, he's my favorite, and I don't care if the others see this. Most of them treated me like trash at some point. Well, Ash is in a league of his own. I mustered the courage to ask what would happen to Ash. I think he needs help first and foremost. Brother number 1 thinks otherwise and seems to be trying to involve the police since his daughter is a minor. I asked Ted to show me the photos. Brother number 2 said everything needed to be documented for the police. I thought it would help. It didn't. On the contrary, it raised even more questions, but now I have a therapist to help me sort it all out. I guess I don't have much more to say for now. Sorry if I wasted your time, but I'm sure this isn't the end, and I'll have something to tell. Maybe tomorrow, maybe later, I don't know. So Ash was found. Brothers 3, 4, and 8 arrived at his house. This time he was there. Apparently, he didn't notice Ted had been there earlier and didn't know what was coming. There were shouts, fight, more shouting. Another fight, and eventually a trip to the emergency room. Ash is now under psychiatric supervision. They're checking him for a bunch of things. Ted's mom keeps trying to contact me. I don't know if it's to apologize or get news, since basically everyone is angry with her. But I'm done with her. I think this is the hardest experience possible. But I definitely learned a lot about people, trust, and family. From what we know, Ted's mom was right about one thing. Ted not being actively involved in his brother's life became a trigger for all this madness. I think the pandemic and the distance we kept started his decline. Now Ash will have to cope with whatever methods he has left. Ted has cut off contact with about half of his family. Hopefully for good this time, because I can't imagine how either of us could go through all this and ever forget. Unfortunately, Ash's cat didn't make it. That's something I'll feel guilty about for the rest of my life. At some point over the last year, she developed a kidney problem that went untreated. Since she was without proper care for a long time, they couldn't help her anymore. The clinic even called the police on brother number 4, who brought the cat in for animal cruelty, and he had to explain the situation. The vet said she couldn't live without suffering, and he made the decision to put her to sleep. The story with brother number one's daughter seems to have been related to brother number one brutally bullying Ash as a child. He had almost no contact with her personally, and this was his way of getting back at brother number one in his usual manner. The girl will now see a therapist just in case. I don't know what or how much they told her, but I assume she had to answer her parents' questions about contact with Ash and then explain why they were asking anyway. I guess that's all. I'm not leaving my husband. I'm not going to piss on other people's things. I'm seeing a therapist, and I made it absolutely clear to everyone. None of them will ever live with us under any circumstances, even if the Pope himself vouches for them. I just feel like I've lost the part of me that cared. And perhaps most importantly, I never got an apology, but honestly, I don't need one anymore. Maybe my therapist will convince me otherwise, or maybe it's even better this way. For now, I don't know, coping as best I can. Update 2. Hello, everyone. I want to start by saying thank you for the insane amount of support and love I've received from internet strangers, for all the kind messages, and for worrying about me and my family. I'll start replying to messages soon. I promise. The last few days have just been very hard. My therapist suggested I keep writing to sort out my feelings and help myself process what happened. Since some of you are interested in my story, I guess these posts will be my diary. It's been almost 2 weeks since I opened Pandora's box by refusing to let my husband's brother move in with us. And you all know how that turned out. I'll be forever grateful to all of you for helping me see that there are things that need to be discussed and dealt with, even if it turned my life into a circus. Many asked the same questions. Here are the answers. Right now, I just don't have the strength to talk to anyone except brother number 6. He was always my favorite. And honestly, we should have taken a cue from him from the start and stayed away from the family. He's really been the most supportive and sincerely apologized for all this shit. I talked to brother number 1 and his wife, offered help in any form, but they politely refused, saying I'd already done enough. I don't know if that was meant sarcastically or sincerely, but I'm keeping my distance from them anyway. Most of the other brothers apologized for everything. Some acknowledged their mistakes in this situation and in the past. I think this family will keep therapists in business for a long time. I advised everyone to get therapy because even if I was the starting point, it concerns the whole family. My mother-in-law, some wrote that maybe she herself has been a victim of manipulation and abuse all her life. I won't confirm or deny that, but the fact remains, she has a complicated life. We will never communicate with her again because she called us with accusations that we destroyed her family. Her words addressing my husband, I worked for years to keep you all together. I forgave each of you for everything you ever did. And this is how you repay me, letting some bitch destroy our family. So yeah, no options there. Ted is coping as best he can. He's also in therapy, sorting out his feelings, constantly apologizing, and I think seeing what his best friend and brother did to me because of him will haunt him for a long time. We read all your comments together. He's grateful that many see redemption in him, but he himself says he doesn't feel like he's earned it, that he has years ahead to make things right. He also said he'd understand if I wanted a divorce, but he couldn't live knowing his family did this to his wife. I politely declined because I still love him very much and know it's not his fault. We'll see how his therapy goes. Where is Ash now? He's still under psychiatric observation. He asked to see Ted, but he categorically refuses, though he wrote him a letter. I don't know what's in it and don't want to know. Ted assured me I'll never have to see him again. When the doctors decide it's safe, he'll be transferred to the West Coast, where the rest of the family will deal with him. We wash our hands of it. Brother number 3 is keeping an eye on his condition now, and he thinks getting Ash away from us is best for everyone. Ted discusses the doctor's reports with him, but I'm not involved, and that's fine. As many of you advised, we're taking a break. I quit one job, and I'm working remotely from my dad's seaside apartment for now. Ted took a leave of absence. His boss was understanding. It's mid-January now. The weather is so, but looking at the water is calming, and it's nice to be away from all the madness. I changed my phone number, so my husband's family can't reach me anymore, and that's wonderful. For a few days, it's just the 3 of us. My cat, of course, is with me. I got a restraining order against Ash. I don't know what measures brother number 1 is taking for his daughter. I only know he made her delete her social media. If there are any further legal steps, that's their initiative. We're moving. We don't know where yet, but we both feel our home is no longer home. We'll start looking for a place closer to my family in the coming weeks. What was in Ash's locked guest toilet? Sorry, but there were no human remains on meat hooks. There was just more of the same stuff found in the main bathroom. I don't think he's a serial killer in the making. More like a very mentally ill person with destructive coping mechanisms and unhealthy emotional attachments. But I'm not a professional and can't help him. I think one commenter was right about him having a hatred for women or seeing us as inferior. After all, he only did crazy shit to women. Me, his niece, and Sonny, his cat. But again, I'm not a professional. How am I holding up? Some days are easier, some are harder. I have therapy sessions every other day. Thanks to the commenters who suggested going to the bathroom with headphones or a white noise generator. That helped a lot. My sisters take turns visiting me, so we always have someone over for a couple of hours. Many asked what happened in Ash's childhood that affected him so much. Here are Ted's words. When you grow up with 8 much older brothers, you become vulnerable to criticism, comparisons, and expectations. When the older ones got a chance to take out their negativity on someone, Ash was the most defenseless. I'm not trying to justify anyone's actions or defend anyone, but there were things even I couldn't protect him from. And now, as an adult, I realize how fucked up it was. And my brothers do too. Each of us has our own demons we've fought and are fighting all our lives. We didn't have a supportive family. Everything was swept under the rug instead of getting help. It made us disconnected from reality, from understanding what's right and wrong. Some of us got better thanks to wives, work, experience. We all still have a lot to learn, but we can't change the past. We can only acknowledge the mistakes and try to be better tomorrow. Why didn't anyone check on the cat sooner? We had no reason to. Sonny wasn't very social, so when they video called during quarantine, it was logical she wasn't visible. We didn't visit anyone during the pandemic, so we didn't know the state of his house or his cat. Before the pandemic, he was fine, and so was his house and cat. I don't know how we could have guessed this was happening or what we could have done to prevent it. I'm sorry I failed an innocent animal. The guilt for not being able to help her will stay with me forever. What are the odds in a family with 10 sons? 3 could just drop everything and fly across the country to help a brother. There weren't always 10 sons. As for them being able to come, I don't know what you want to hear, that they realized how serious it was that their wives managed without them for a couple of days, that they could take time off work and come, that their brother asked for help and they could provide it. Honestly, I don't know what you expect as an answer to that question. How do we not notice earlier? There must have been signs. You'll have to ask my husband's family. As you know, I'm not on good terms with him now. Ted says he didn't see any signs, but admits his perception might have been skewed by closeness to his brother. He might have been either blind or considered his behavior normal. That's what my life looks like now. I'm tired, I'm sad, and it still sucks. But I have a great therapist who constantly repeats that I'm safe and that I'm okay and teaches me how to be normal again. Sorry for the long update. And you know, I'm very grateful for your kindness and for taking the time to read about my misadventures. Edited. Sorry, I wasn't very clear about the 10 brothers and apparently caused confusion. I meant they didn't always have only boys. This isn't my family or my story to tell everything. From what I know, they had 3 more sisters. 2 died in childhood from health problems. That's why there's such an age gap between brothers 1 through 8 and then Ted and Ash. The third is a bit more complicated. She was born between brothers 4 and 5. Yes, I know they had a lot of children. These people don't believe in contraception. Sorry for the confusion. Update 3. Hello, everyone. It's been about 2 months since all this drama started. During this time, I've received a ton of messages and comments asking for an update. Most were sweet and supportive. Of course, there were exceptions, but at this stage of my existence, I've come to accept it as part of internet culture. First, sorry for not writing for so long. I know many are very curious about what's happening with Ted's family, but I needed time to process everything. But here I am again, sharing another miserable piece of this story so you can find peace. In short, Ted asked me to live separately. He's struggling a lot himself and feels my presence only worsens his condition. He carries huge guilt, and unpacking all these skeletons is too heavy a burden for anyone. We're not officially divorced, but we're not looking for a new home together either. We're still in the process of selling the old place, so Ted is living there, and I'm with my parents. I don't know what will happen when the sale is complete or what he wants, but I promise to give him space. So that's it. He allowed me to write this update because, despite some nasty messages and comments, most of you are incredibly kind and supportive people. Here's an updated family tree of Ted's family, including the sisters. Brother 1, doctor with some military background, wife, 3 kids. Brother 2, surgeon, wife, 2 dogs, and a bearded dragon. Brother 3, engineer, fiancé, and a dog. Brother 4, teacher and researcher, wife, 1 child. Sister 1, brother 5, works in IT. Don't know details. Married. Brother 6, doctor. Single, ready to mingle. Brother 7, chef or businessman, wife, 1 child. Brother 8, sells cars, wife, 3 kids, fish. Sister 2 and sister 3. Brother 9, Ted, possibly ex-wife, and a cat. Brother 10, Ash. I didn't just throw in the sisters for spice in this crazy story. I didn't count them before because I go by what I know about my husband's family. All 3 sisters were born and died before Ted was conceived. There wasn't a single second in his life when he had living sisters, so he only says he has brothers. For him and for me, he has no sisters. That's why I didn't count them. You guys are wild. The theories you came up with, some closer to the truth, some absolutely insane, range from plausible to downright crazy. Well, considering what you know about this family, the madness, there's indeed a family trait. Anyway, no, they weren't killed. Sisters 2 and 3 were twins and died from a birth defect. Their lungs didn't develop or something like that. That's all Ted knows. As you understand, I'm not in touch with his family now to clarify. They died a couple of weeks after birth, still in the hospital, so none of the brothers had a chance to do anything to them. As for Sister 1, she died in a motorcycle accident. One of the brothers was driving. He was underage and drunk. Why didn't I say this right away? Because it's not your business. It wasn't relevant to my situation, and I sincerely believe people have a right to privacy, so I won't say which brother it was. Many asked about the dirty secrets my mother-in-law forgave her sons. I'll share the ones I can talk about. I won't specify which brother did what, except for Brother 7, because I already shared that story. So there's no point in hiding it now. Here's a copy of a comment I left before. 10 brothers in total. Brothers 1 through 4. Typical older golden children, straight A students, athletes. So the younger ones, number 5 and below, had to live up to the bar set by the elders. They were expected to excel academically, play sports, get into college on scholarship, because paying for 10 kids' education is very hard, and build careers. But Brother 7 didn't want that. He's a smart guy, but thought it unfair that his life had to be a perpetual competition with his brothers. After high school, he told his parents he was going abroad to study to become a chef. His scholarship only covered part of the tuition and didn't include housing. The parents were thrilled. Their son would become a famous international chef. They agreed, as long as he had good grades and cooked a signature dish for holidays. In reality, he moved to New York, lived with 4 roommates, and faked a life abroad. He wasn't active on social media, so he didn't have to prove anything. He just had to call his parents at times that suited the time difference. This was before video calls, so no problem. He made up cool stories for family holidays. His parents sent him money for tuition and living, and he invested it and ended up doing well. Then he returned to the West Coast and said he now managed restaurants. It all came out when one of the older brother's daughters said she wanted to apply to the same institution and asked him to tell her more about it. By then, he was already well off, so there were no major consequences. And he really cooks well, so he's still in charge of Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners. And here's a list of things I know because Ted, their mother, or the brothers themselves told me, and for which the parents imposed no punishment at all. Stealing and completely wrecking at least 2 cars. Both times the same brother. Car theft, another brother. Leaving grandma alone for a week when they were supposed to care for her. Stealing and selling things from the house. Fights that ended with police involvement. Fights without police, but with a trip to the hospital. Skipping school events like prom, trips, and embezzling the money. Public nudity, indecent exposure, urinating in public places. Seems it's really a family thing. One stalking case that ended in a restraining order. Massive underage drinking parties, multiple instances of drunk driving. Where's the father? Well, the last time I saw him, he was in an urn in their mom's living room, so I hope he's still there. In life, he was an asshole terribly misogynistic and abusive father and husband. To the grandkids, he was kind of normal grandpa. But if you want to ask why you let children near such a person, ask those who have kids. I don't have any of my own. Ted's parents were, and his mom still is very traditional, and only appearances ever mattered to them. The perfect family with proud sons and beautiful daughters. That's what they wanted. I'm not justifying them, but losing their daughters really hit them and the whole family hard. Why did they have 2 more children after all that? Because they really wanted a daughter again, tried twice more, and then couldn't have children anymore. I don't know if they would have continued or if the inability to have more children worsened the situation. What about Ash? I don't know. I like to say I don't know and don't want to know, but I still care on a human level. After therapy, I've become a bit more empathetic and understand he's ill. So yes, I care, and I hope he's okay, that he can get better. I just want it to happen very, very far away from me. So there, I think I've answered all your questions about my husband's family. As always, a special thanks to brother number 6 for existing. He's been very supportive all this time and is generally a good person, and still single and ready to mingle, in case anyone's interested. He insisted I emphasize that when I said I was writing an update again. So if someone on the West Coast is looking for a cute doctor with an absolutely nutty family, this is your chance. As for me, well, everything sucks, and it will suck for a while longer. That's life. I had to quit my second job after already leaving the first. So now I'm unemployed and living with my parents. But Dad says he doesn't care as long as I'm okay, and I love him for that. I'm still in therapy. It's the only thing I can do right now. I'm still in therapy. It's the only thing I can do right now. And you know what? This story shows how family secrets can destroy lives. Sometimes walking away is the only healthy choice. What do you think about this whole situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to hear more real stories with deep human drama, make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. Your support helps bring these important stories to light. Thanks for listening.